There is not a single man who actually believes in not all men, because they'll tell their sisters and mothers to be careful, and they'll obsess over controlling their wives and daughters because they know deep down they too assume that men are all the same. But to everybody else, it's not all men. So to those men, instead of trying to distance yourself from the problem because you can't get over your bruised male ego, realize that if you refuse to acknowledge the problem by derailing the conversation and invalidating women, you are just as bad.
Oh my god, she's crazy!
Yo, what is going on, guys? It is Taylor The Fiend back again with another response video. And on today's episode, guys, we are going to be talking about modern women who have hit the wall. Okay, a lot of these girls who go into their 30s and 40s, they start jumping up and down crying, why are men ghosting me? Why can't I find a relationship? Where is my marriage? Hell, even the girls in their 20s are starting to get real frustrated that men who respect themselves are not interested in having serious relationships anymore. But shout out to the Modern Women Archives YouTube channel, guys. A lot of the clips that I've been playing recently have been from theirs, and this is an absolute banger of a clip. Okay, so we have here a woman who looks to be in her 40s or 50s, honestly can't tell with the amount of filters, and she's going to tell us about her dating experience and why it is so difficult. But guys, before we jump into it, as always, remember to subscribe to our other content creators, Hidan from Peace of Mind and Detective Warg. They are pumping out consistent content for you guys to enjoy, so make sure that you show them some love. Their channels will be linked in the video description. But let's take a listen to what this woman has to tell us.
I matched with someone. He seems super nice. He's relatively close to me. I'm going to say within 45 minutes of me. So he's geographically okay. We chatted better than I've chatted with someone in a very long time. They were not just little how you doing kind of texts. They were real texts and messages back and forth. So I said, I really think we should meet in person. He said, I absolutely agree. This has been a great conversation. So
guys, let's pause it here, okay? The reason why a lot of men are like not interested in having these big long conversations and doing all of this crap is because men have started to realize that if a girl is interested in you, it does not take these big long stupid conversations where you talk about her cat and it goes on for 30 years. Okay, girls who are interested in you will, you know, within like 5 messages to 10 messages, you won't be on the dating application anymore. Too many dudes are wasting their time on women who are just straight up not worth it at all, especially girls that go into their 30s, 40s, and 50s. A lot of these women have a ridiculous amount of baggage. They expect ridiculous things from you, and a lot of the times all they do is bring attitude and headaches to the table.
we make plans for tonight, Wednesday. On Monday, we decide the time, and he told me to pick a place. So I said, are we still on Monday? I said, are we still on for Wednesday? He said, yes. Okay, great. So Tuesday, I said, okay, 6 o'clock still good for you. And I gave him a name of a place to meet me. And I said, just let me know if that still works. He does not reply on Tuesday, but I didn't send him the text till 9:30 at night. So this morning, I kind of was expecting a response. Didn't get a response. So now it's 1:30, have heard nothing from him. And it is taking me everything in my being to not think that I'm getting stood up or blown off.
You are getting stood up and you are getting blown off. This is the amazing thing, okay, guys? And this is why I don't feel sorry for this woman right here. Is when she tells us this story, what she neglects to mention is the ridiculous amount of men that she has done this to in her lifetime who would be interested in her. So all of the men who are validating her, even this girl who's like in her 40s or 50s, there would still be men who are validating her online, who want to give her experiences, who would absolutely show up on a date, no questions asked, okay? But what's she doing? She's getting on TikTok and she's complaining about the one guy who clearly is going to stand her up. Like, it's absolutely amazing the position that we've found ourselves in society, guys, where these women seem to think that despite the fact that she's in her 40s or 50s, she still has the leverage of someone who's in their 20s. Like, oh yes, this guy who is clearly way out of my league, he's going to take me seriously, he's going to commit to me. Okay, you don't have time to be looking. If you're in your 40s, okay, the time for getting commitment from a man that you really want has long since gone and passed. Okay, I've seen girls who, they reach 30 and they're talking about like, oh, I'll have kids soon, or I'll have a relationship soon. And I'm thinking to myself, what on earth are you doing? You can barely even have kids with, you're going into your 30s, all of your eggs have dried up, and you're talking that you want a man and you want a husband? No.
He did not unmatch me, so he's still on Bumble on one of my matches. And he just did not seem like the person that would do that. But let me tell you, I've had so many bad experiences that it's really hard for me to believe anyone.
Let's pause it right there. She says she's had so many bad experiences. Yeah, dude's not committing to her. Okay, this is something that men are not taught at all, guys, and we're taught to just, go up and knock on that glass window and give the woman roses and treat her fantastic and show her all of these lovely things. Even this woman right here, she has a significant amount more options than the average man. Like the average man making a than an attractive man. If you took a highly attractive man and you made him a dating profile, and then you made this woman a dating profile, she would still absolutely smoke him. Okay, so I don't care about your bad experiences or being unable to find the one, because what you're doing is you're not shopping. You're choosing things that are unrealistic. Your standards are too high, and these girls will come around and say, "Oh, my standards are I just want a guy to take me on a date, but of course he has to be tall, he has to be attractive, or he has to be making significantly good money, or some crap like that." Like, when you dig into it, guys, you come to find out that the reason these individuals are single a lot of the times is because they're entitled and because they think that they're deserving of things that they can't actually afford, right?
So anyway, I just wanted to know, does anyone else feel this way too? And what are your thoughts about this?
Yeah, so the answer is a lot of other women feel like this. They feel in the exact same situation that you are. Okay, they'll come along and say, men should start taking it seriously. Why have I had all of these bad experiences? But what they fail to realize is that the common denominator is themselves. If you're a 45-year-old woman and you don't have a marriage, you don't have a relationship, this is not the time to be blaming men and talking about your bad experiences on TikTok. It is a time long since past for some introspection. But guys, let's continue on to some more clips here, because I have some more aneurysm-inducing clips for us to enjoy together.
There is not a single man who actually believes in not all men, because they'll tell their sisters and mothers to be careful, and they'll obsess over controlling their wives and daughters because they know, deep down, they too assume that men are all the same. But to everybody else, it's not all men. So to those men, instead of trying to distance yourself from the problem, because you can't get over your bruised male ego, realize that if you refuse to acknowledge the problem by derailing the conversation and invalidating women, you are just as bad.
I love how this woman has essentially, turned a comment that is straight up insulting men into perceiving herself and womankind as victims in the situation. Also, anybody who uses the word bruised or the phrase bruised male ego is not to be taken seriously at all. But let's address this logical psychobabble that this woman is talking about right here. Okay, illogical psychobabble, excuse me. She's saying that you can't believe not all men are bad if you tell your sister or your daughter or your wife to be careful, for example, when they're going out late at night. Okay, it's almost as if they don't understand the sentence, not all men. If I have a wife and I tell her, hey, maybe you shouldn't be going out at 11:30 p.m. into this like dark park because there might be some dude there, that's not saying that all men are terrible. That's saying that some idiot could be in the park. You see what I'm saying? Like, these two things are not what she thinks they are. She doesn't understand the sentence, not all men. And she's been so brainwashed by womanism that she comes on TikTok thinking that she understands things when she can't understand basic English. Let's continue.
If women say kill all men, we should be able to say kill all women.
You clearly don't understand the power dynamic.
What?
Women who say kill all men aren't literally advocating for the death of all men. In society, men are the oppressors and women are the oppressed. When an oppressed group makes jokes about their oppressors, they're typically fighting against the power holding them down, and it's not seen as literal, it's hyperbole.
What does that have to do with anything?
So when oppressors makes jokes about the people they're oppressing, they're just abusing the power that already exists.
But if women joke about men, we should joke about
women. Being murdered as a man by a woman is something you probably never have to worry about, but being murdered as a woman by a man is something we do have to think about. Almost 80% of murder victims are men, but committed by other men, not women. A good analogy is when employees make fun of their boss, but if a boss was making fun of their employees, then it's typically an abuse of power.
If you want to
You gotta love how this woman's logic is basically, if you are a perceived victim in a situation, you should be able to say or do whatever you want. Right? So if you're a woman, you can say whatever it is that you want about men because you're a woman and because you're quote unquote oppressed, right? Because of course, guys, it's not about what you say or anything like that. It's do as I say, not do as I do, right? They want to be able to have the superiority to come along and say, men are this, men are that. But if you say no, then you're part of the problem. If you say the same thing back, then you can't say that because you're oppressing women. It's the most ridiculous bullcrap I've ever seen, guys. And a lot of modern women, what they'll do is they'll hide behind this little shield of victimhood that they've got. They'll say, oh, well, we only earn 70 cents to the dollar, when they don't. Or they'll say things like, you know, men typically have so much power because of XYZ, when in actual fact, women, particularly modern women in the West, are the most privileged group of individuals to walk the face of the earth.
So, the reason you keep attracting broke men is you dated one of them, and the other broke men saw you with the other broke man that you're already with, and then suddenly they think you are also on their level. That's why you are attracting broke men, because
Yeah, guys, what on earth, you know, what on earth is accountability? Hey, if you have a boyfriend, if you have a husband and he's broke, it's because he somehow wormed himself to be there. It's not because you chose him or because you wanted that relationship or because you wanted to get with him or hook up with him or whatever. No. Let's remove all accountability and say you are attracting broke men. This is the same kind of logic as women saying, oh, I always just seem to attract bad men. It has nothing to do with attracting bad men in any capacity. If you are a semi-attractive woman, you will attract men, period. Okay, you'll attract good men, you'll attract bad men, you'll attract rich men, you'll attract poor men. Okay, what comes of that is what you choose. But of course, guys, we have to discount accountability and say, you know what, I'm a grown woman, but I was manipulated, or it couldn't be me making my own decisions.
dating is about status, and dating is about levels. When other broke men see you with a broke man, they automatically think they can reach you. Okay? When broke men see you with nails on, lashes on, makeup, nice wigs, with a rich man, they won't approach you because they know your standard is too high for them. Okay? So that is why you keep attracting broke men. You attract them because once you attract one broke man, it's like you're calling the whole army of broke men to.
And the TikTok kind of ends there, guys. But you know what's absolutely amazing to me? Is like people will make these TikToks and they'll post them to the internet, and then you'll get other women in the comments being like, you know what, you're right. And then they'll go screw up each other's dating lives and their relationships and stuff like that. I see so many TikToks where women are giving dating advice, right, to other women. And the advice that they're giving is really damaging to the other women. Like, they'll tell them the most messed up things, or go and do this, or here's how to manipulate your man. Literally sabotaging. What girls like this do is they sabotage the relationships of other women. And it's just the most astounding thing to me, guys, that while they're doing it, they'll have women in the comments just applauding them, going, you know what, you're right, queen, I should totally do this, or this is the reason why I can't find a man. And it's just like this absolute circle of women giving each other terrible advice rather than actually helping each other. It's kind of like those girls who are friends with each other, but then will like try and steal each other's boyfriends and stuff like that. Just absolutely not helping and making no sense along the way. But guys, let's continue into today's Reddit story. I have an absolutely disgusting one to pull up here for you guys today. But before we jump into it, gentlemen, as always, if you're interested in supporting the channel, make sure that you come and join us over on Locals, guys. The link will be in the video description. I've been advertising Locals for a very long time now because you never know when YouTube will probably just straight up remove us from the platform. I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen the censorship going on, but you know, no content is really too safe on this platform. So let's jump into today's Reddit story, guys. And like I said, this is a straight up disgusting one, okay? So just a fair warning here. We have this one. and it is titled Sleeping with an Ex After They've Had Multiple Partners. And he goes on to say, so this is a dude, and he says, in the span of 6 months when I left my ex, she had a 3 experience with 2 men and has been seeing a new guy. Recently, she texted me again saying that she loves me and wants me back. We were together a couple of nights ago. Now I feel weak and pretty gross, but I feel less alone. Has anyone else come across this situation? Did you end up rekindling the relationship or just never talk to each other again? Guys, I just want to say this right from the outset, okay? Never take an ex back and never ever try to repair a broken relationship. Just don't do it. If you've been cheated on or, you know, someone's your ex, they are your ex for a reason. And this guy is literally considering, and he actually, in fact, did get back with this woman, at least in the bedroom sense, even after she's gone and seen 2 guys at the same time and then another man, which, by the way, guys, I would suggest that if a girl says that she's seen 3 guys since she's last seen you, it's probably something more like 10. But let's continue into some of these comments and see what people have to say. So this individual here, Oren316, who is a dude in his 40s, says, why did you leave her in the first place? And the original poster says, she's compulsive, narcissistic, emotionally manipulative, doesn't listen to me, not my typical type. She got too attached when I wasn't looking for anything serious. So this guy, guys, and I've got to roast the man here for a second, all right? Why on earth would this man go back to this woman? It's so incredibly sad, okay? I don't care if you're lonely. I don't care if you feel like you're by yourself, guys. Do not go back to people who mistreat you. It is so much better being by yourself, working on your hobbies, doing whatever else other it is, than going back to these individuals who treat you poorly. Okay, and I would say this is true of men and women, guys. Like, I do not like to see people go back to bad partners. It makes absolutely no sense to me. This guy knows that she's compulsive, narcissistic, emotionally manipulative. She doesn't listen. And yet he's like, he saw her again. Like, why on earth do you even have any lines of communication to this woman at all is absolutely beyond me. Horse Pirate here says, we move forward and never backwards. You are broken up for a reason. Going backwards is just chasing comfort, not happiness. Eyes forward to what lies ahead of you, not behind. Some absolutely fantastic advice right there, guys. I would say this to dudes who feel lonely and they feel sad and they would ever consider going back to an ex. Don't do it at all. If a person mistreats you or if they're your ex, never go back to these individuals, guys, because chances are not only will the behavior still be there, it will get worse over time. But guys, we're going to be leaving today's episode there. As always, remember to leave your thoughts and your comments. Don't forget to subscribe to our other content creators, Hidan from Peace of Mind and Detective Warg. And without further ado, make sure you take care of yourselves, gentlemen, and I'll be seeing you all in the next episode. Peace.